man, that's a lot of money. Or you might be thinking, oh, that's not as bad as I thought. All right, everybody, we're at my house, and we just want to do a little rundown of how much a family milk cow is, price itself, the breakdown, and also how much our cow was, as well as kind of like the annual cost. Sorry, I'm out of breath. Just so if any of you are thinking about getting one, you kind of have like an outline of how much that might cost. And we'll do a separate video on how much we save. If you do things right, you can also make money, but that's a totally different conversation for a different day. But now we can start with just our breakdown.
Yeah, so usually to start out, you should expect your cow to cost at least as much as she is worth in beef. So right now, beef prices are really, really high. It's 2024, July of 2024, and beef prices are about $1.5 per pound, of walking live weight. So, for example, our cow, she's a Jersey, but she's a bit on the bigger side. She's around, say, about 1,000 pounds. So her base price, if we sold her as beef, she'd get around $1,500. Obviously, that's going to be different based on where you are, the country, and then where you are in that country. So we're in Southeast United States. It's also going to change depending on the year and what the prices are at that time and how much your animal weighs. So we didn't expect to go any lower than about $1,000, $2,000 to pay for our cow. And then basically any positive quality that cow has is going to add on top of that base beef price.
So some of the qualities, like for example, our cow. Some of the qualities that kind of stood out to us, because we got her from an auction and we had received a lineup of all the cows that would be auctioned online at that same time. And the reason why she ended up being our top choice was because she was already bred. It was her 4th calf. She had not had a year where she had been out of calf. She was breeding in the right season, because if you have a cow that is due in, let's say, the fall, that might mean that she had an issue being bred, because cows ought to be bred in the early summer so that they calve in the spring. So if it's fall, that might mean that she didn't catch 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rounds, whatever, and maybe was caught at the end of the season live cover with a live bull. So she was due April 2nd, so we knew, okay, she did good getting bred this last time. She was only, 4 years old, but it had 3 calves. So that told us that she bred on her first try and that she was breeding every year in season at the right time. And that was a huge thing for us. And that is our number one key thing. The number one thing we look for, or that we were looking for when we got our cow, is looking for a cow who is not going to have issues being bred. Reason being is that dairy cows require pregnancy and birth in order to give milk. Just like a human, you don't just produce milk without pregnancy. They have to be pregnant first in order to produce milk. So we needed a cow that could be bred every year, that would catch, that would not require too much money in terms of needing to be AI'd several times. And we wanted her to be bred to an Angus. So we picked one that had been bred to a red Angus.
The place we got her from, the cows they were selling that were bred, some were bred back to Jersey, and it was an all Jersey farm, and some were bred back to Angus. So that was one of our first things that we decided was if we're going to get a bred cow, we want a cow that's bred to a beef breed, so that we could get some beef in the freezer sooner rather than later.
Yeah. What are some other things?
So one of the biggest things is A2.
Yeah.
It's really popular right now. It's really nuanced. There's a lot of, not a controversy, but just lots of conversation around it. So cows and all mammals produce proteins in their milk. There's beta casein in milk, and there are some cows that produce A1, A2, or you can have a combination of A1 and A2 protein. And it looks like there may be some people that are a little more sensitive to those A1 proteins, and they're especially volatile when they are being pasteurized. So you can avoid some of those issues with raw dairy, raw milk. But my husband is very sensitive to A1 milk, pasteurized or raw. And we had kind of narrowed that down just by testing some stuff out. And we knew that raw A2 milk he had no issues with. And his dad and a bunch of other people in his family were the same way. So we felt like it would be a good idea for us to get an A2 cow, so we didn't end up spending all this money and all this time on a cow that, you know, my husband and maybe children and, you know, some of his family members wouldn't be able to stomach. We also just wanted to go with something that would be easier for us to sell calves from, easier to, you know, gift milk products and things like that, so that we wouldn't feel quite as limited by her being A1. And that farm that we were buying from, they're a conventional dairy, but they were 85% grass fed, so the cows were on grass. They didn't get a silage or haylage, which is where hay or corn stalks or whatever, where instead of it being blended up and fermented, they're just getting fresh grass. So in conventional dairies, they're usually going to get it's called a total mixed ration, TMR. It's usually going to be some silage and some hay and things like that, where it's just all blended together and fermented and stored, usually in big like pits. And that works well. It makes lots of milk, but we did not plan to have any of that out at our farm. The land that we have, neither of us live there. We definitely don't have tons of acreage to store silage, and we didn't want to have to put a bunch of input into our cow. So we liked the idea of going with this farm because we knew that our cow would likely need some grain, but she'd also been on grass, and so that made us happy because that's what we were kind of hoping for. We didn't mind grain so much. I know a lot of people are very like anti-grain. We don't mind it too bad. We're hoping that our heifer that she gave us this year, we can raise her grain-free. But we kind of anticipated needing some grain. But she does well on grass. We have offered hay, but she really prefers the grass, and she's doing well with what we're providing right now. So obviously, if they're from grass-fed genetics, which is a big thing,
if that's what you're looking for,
then,
if you want grass-fed milk, look for a cow that's got preferable genetics. Otherwise, you may be trying to grass feed a cow that needs grain and she won't keep up body condition. But what are some other things that would be positive? So other things that would add to the value to make the cow essentially more expensive. I don't know, you may be looking to sell your own cow and this video is to help, or you may be looking to buy a cow, which is where we were. And so some other positives that you want in a cow, but that, you know, like they will actually add to the cost, might be like udder health. If it's a cow that has not had any issues with mastitis or ketosis or milk fever, those are very preferable qualities because there's less vet bills, it's less risk on your investment. Also a cow that what's something else? Who has like a deep udder, high production, good teat length, good teat attachment. Those are all things that might add to value. And you may be thinking to yourself like, man, that's going to be too expensive. I don't want those good qualities, but they're going to save you a lot of money once you have the cow. So if it's me, in my opinion, I don't know how you feel, but I would rather put good money on a cow that's not going to cost me a lot of money than put like still a lot of money, because $1,500 to $2,000 for like the worst possible cow is still a lot of money. You might as well add another $1,500 to it. Like wait a couple more months, save up longer, and get a cow that's gonna actually not break the bank once you have her. Because if you're constantly paying vet bills, you're constantly paying for feed, that's just gonna hurt your bottom line, and it's gonna really affect whether or not you're actually saving money or it's just a money hole where you're just throwing money in all the time. Abby, what are some negative in your mind? What are some negatives that would actually take down value, and then what are like your deal breakers?
So I think some of the things that I know we looked at when we were going to purchase a cow, and what I think of now, if they have a quarter that is, you know, not producing, or somebody says that she's a 3/4 cow, or she has a blind quarter, you need to investigate. Those cows can still make just as much as a 4/4 cow. Their body does compensate, but the drawback to it is what caused that quarter to be down. Is she prone to mastitis? does she have staph A? That's a big point. Lots of cows are culled or removed from their job due to staph A, and it can be really hard to get rid of, and it can spread. Is that mastitis gonna come back if she's a dry cow? Are you gonna have her calve and she's gonna have mastitis already in those quarters, the other quarters, or whatever the case may be? So a cow that's got 4 working quarters. I know our cow, she has 4 working quarters, but one of them does have a scar, which it doesn't appear to be, mastitis related. It holds a normal amount of milk, but on the surface of her udder, it looks like maybe she had a fall or was head butted when she was young. Something occurred to cause a scar on the outside of that udder, of that quarter, excuse me, on her front right side. And maybe we can get like a little shot of that sometime. But, so you want to keep an eye out for that.
It's getting hot out here.
It's not like an immediate,
Yeah.
let's not do this because she's got 3 quarters.
Yeah.
But you just need to ask,
Why does she have
try
3
to get an honest answer on what happens to the other quarter. Some cows are just, it gets hurt when they're a heifer, or they just only 3 of them work, and that's fine, that's whatever. But if it's going to be a mastitis thing, sometimes those cows are gotten rid of because it's too much of a problem and they can't get the mastitis under control.
Yeah.
So definitely look into that. Looks like we also one thing that we knew was something that people say to look for, but we did not realize the importance of it until we were underneath the cow milking her out after she had her baby, is
By
teat
hand.
length. Teat length is really important. If you know you're planning on machine milking, it really doesn't matter that much. Teat length doesn't matter all that much. And we're machine milking now, and it's great and it's fine. But after she calved, our cow Butter, she had really bad edema and swelling in her udder. And so her teats,
Her back teats.
were, especially those back teats,
They're
were
like that long.
this long and like this big around, and we couldn't even get a finger around them, and it was
so tough.
colostrum, so it's sticky and thick, and she was super like engorged and was kicking, and it was awful. And her front teats are definitely better, but they were still kind of difficult to milk. Obviously now she's not swollen. She's 3 months, almost 4 months out from having her calf. So she, her teats
good now.
she has great teats, front and back. But the back ones are just a tad short. We usually milk with, I think, 2 or 3 fingers on the back ones. So we can probably get about 3 to 4 on the front ones.
Yeah.
So definitely look at that. If you know I'm going to hand milk, it is very much worth looking for a cow with good long teats.
What do you think a deal breaker for you would be in a cow? If somebody's
A
like, oh, and she has
deal
this,
breaker,
what would you
if-
be like? I can't do it.
If you go to look at a cow,
Which you should. That does. Sorry to interrupt.
yes,
You need to go. We didn't get an opportunity, but they did give the opportunity. But we were able to see plenty of pictures and videos to know that she was good. But you want to get your hands on the cow. You want to see
Yes.
how does her coat look? Is it shiny? Is she healthy? Does her udder look healthy? Does it look bumpy? Are the teats positioned well? Are they good length? Can you get your hand on them good? Also,
does she let you touch them?
does she let you touch them, or is she kicking you? Because for us, that was something that happened. We were gonna hand milk. She had never been hand milked. She hated it. She tried to murder us twice a day when we would milk, constantly the whole time. But now that we're machine milking, she's far more calm, and it's certainly a better experience for us. But I'm sorry, Abby.
Oh, no, you're good.
Sorry. Going back to you, what would your deal breaker be?
I think first for me would be a cow that is open, is not bred back, means that they
Are pregnant?
have calved, they're in milk, and they're pregnant, or they're dry and they're pregnant, whatever the case may be. If you have a cow that has been dried off, or she hasn't calved in a year or 2, and she is open,
Red flag.
that's either a cow that can't get pregnant, or is having trouble getting pregnant. Maybe it has some ovarian cyst or something, or some other issue. Or you've got a cow that was allowed too much time after calving,
And now she's not.
and
gonna
maybe
pitch.
now she's got too much fat around her organs, or she's put on weight in some ways that will prevent her from getting pregnant, or there's some other issue that hasn't been looked into. And obviously, a lot of this is going to be case by case. You may have someone that they had some life thing occur and they were able to get her rebred just because they didn't have the time. I understand that. That's totally fine. But if you have a cow that things feel a little, like maybe I don't have all the information, or why has she been open so long and they don't have a reason, then maybe look into that. And then also, I think behavior is a big thing. Butter has had a little bit of I don't even know if I'll call it aggression. She definitely hates being hand milked. And if we go out there and it is dusk or darker, she really can
She's
be
dangerous,
scary
yeah.
because she doesn't know that it's us. If we have a spotlight and we put it on ourselves, then she's fine. If she knows it's us, and she's good. If your cow is just like generally murderous for no reason,
That's a big red.
that's
just
that's
a no.
hamburger tomorrow. Like that's
Yeah.
for dinner. That's a roast. That's probably just needs to be eaten.
Yeah.
If
If she ever pins somebody, she's gone.
Yeah.
Like, that's it.
Luckily, Butter does not have horns, so
Yes, mhm.
but she could definitely still kill you. She could still
Definitely.
definitely kill you. But I trust her enough. She trusts us enough. I'm not worried about it anymore. I think she just really did not like the sensation of being hand milked.
Yeah.
She does tolerate it better now.
Yeah.
And that was, she came from we say conventional dairy, as in it was a dairy farm. They take the calves immediately
With robots
and she
yeah.
was milked by robots, but they were at least in pastures every day.
And it was a
had
raw
grass.
milk.
And it was raw milk.
It is a
too.
raw milk dairy.
But that was her first time raising a calf,
Yeah.
and it was her first time. We had been keeping her in. We have 5 acres in that front area that she's in, and she had just been roaming around there while she was dry for 6 weeks. We got her 6 weeks before she was due to calve, and she calved the day before her due date. But we just had her out in that area, and when we first got there, she didn't want anything to do with us. But we finally got her to come around some, and then when we noticed that it was getting pretty close, we put her in an acre pasture in the very front, and even that was a change. As I think she was just confused. She didn't know what we expected. She didn't know why human beings were trying to get milk from her udders when she had this baby she was worried about.
Yeah.
So, we definitely have some grace with her for her behavior. We forgive her. But if you have a cow that, you go out there to look at it and the thing is obviously not handled,
Is charging you.
then
it's
maybe
running
like
away.
pass and leave that to somebody that maybe is more experienced or
Yeah. Not to
something.
say that and just like like Abby was saying, in all these things, it is going to be a case by case. And I will say the caveat at the end of the day, as long as it's not going to be a money, like the one thing that I will not compromise on is an open cow or a cow that has been unreasonably open for a long time, or they don't know if it's been bred, whatever. That's a red flag to me, and I'm not going to just like buy that cow just to do it.
Yeah.
But if you have a cow that like she's already in milk and she's pregnant, but you're like, oh well, she's A1, or she's a little skittish, or she's whatever, as long as you take the steps required beforehand to prepare yourself, or you at least know what work it's going to take, like those shouldn't necessarily be deal breakers. Like even A1 milk, yes. Is A2 a trend? Yes. Is A2 better for the gut? Yes. Some people aren't sensitive. We're not sensitive to A2 milk. We can drink Walmart milk with no problem. We don't get the bubble guts drinking Walmart milk, but some of our family members do. So we wanted A2. But if all you can get is an A1, A2 cow, you can probably breed that out of her over a couple generations. And remember, you're going to want to breed her every single year. So you
You're gonna
can
have
change
plenty
some
of
of those
options.
genetics.
Yeah.
So before we get to the annual like feed costs and all that breakdown, I just want to, Abby, let's just go over all the things we've mentioned and how that literally affects price, so that by the time people leave this video, they have a real breakdown of like, no, this is how much I need to have in my pocket based on whatever cow. So we started with let's say $1,500 at our start base price, and let's go off of with our cow so that people can see how it kind of affects price. And some of these things really depend on your area. Some of them depend on your weather, what kind of grass you have and stuff. So obviously there's so much wiggle room, but at least can you give like a breakdown of how much each of those factors may affect price?
So, she's around 1,000 pounds. She's a Jersey. She's on the bigger side, like we said. So she's probably going to catch around $1,500 if we just sold her as beef. So it's at $1.50 per pound for the beef rates right now, live weight. Let's see, her being A2, let's say general ballpark is going to add around maybe $500.
So if you have a cow and you're wanting to sell her and she's not tested, just test her.
Yeah, it's not expensive.
It might cost you $15 with shipping and everything to test.
Central Star, I know, is a big lab that people use, and I mean it's like $13 or something. Like it's really not. And I think a lot of times when you come across a cow for sale, and the person is like, she hasn't been, A1, A2 tested. Well, that's probably because she's not going to be A2.
Yeah.
Because it's not that expensive of a test, and it really is not that hard to get, or doesn't take that long.
Or you could request like, hey, like, can you just test her and then I'll be ready to buy her, you know.
Yeah.
But sorry, so that's A2.
Yes. So
what's
her being
next?
A2 probably adds about 500. Then
So now we're at what, 2,000?
yeah. Let's see. Her being a proven breeder, no issues. I would say puts us a little closer to 2,500. She was also already bred, so she was already pregnant.
So we're already at
it was
like
also
3,000.
a vet confirmed. Like they offer a
Late
certificate. So when the vet comes out and preg checks, they will give a certificate of like proven bred, vet tested.
Yeah.
Some of the really early ones, the cows that they were selling that were early, didn't have that. They were like, we think she's bred, but they're not gonna. They were priced accordingly.
Yeah.
But Butter was vet certified bred. You know, we knew when her due date was. That was an amazing thing to have. To
That was
know
amazing.
the due date and know what she was bred to. There was no questions about it.
Yep.
So we put that would add probably about $500 more.
Maybe more. But
Maybe
yeah.
more. Maybe 500.
And if I will say also, if she had been bred to a registered Jersey, it would have been more.
Yeah, definitely.
It would have been closer to 1,000 because that calf herself, who is with sex semen, so you know it's a heifer. 90% chance it's a heifer. Is registered. That's going to be another milker next in 2 years' time. You know.
So you're doubling your number of cows.
Yes, literally. So that would have added 1,000, but we're gonna say 500. So anything above that is gonna be like she was saying, the clean bill of health. She had been tested for brucellosis, tuberculosis. Her milk contents had been tested.
Yeah, and we have those here. So her protein percent, it was 4.1%, 5.2% fat, clean bill of health, and we knew that she was going to produce she had been producing 7.7 gallons per day.
Yes.
Usually your cows are going to max out a little bit older than she was, so we were pretty confident that she was not at her peak quite yet. So we got her for $3,250.
Yep.
And with today's market, that was
really
the winter.
good.
That was
Yeah.
January, February, whenever that was, February or March or somewhere in there. If we waited till now, it'd probably be even more.
Probably be closer to 4,000
Yeah,
right
closer
now.
to 4,000.
Also, we'll say the 3,250 really was, I think, a valid price just because she's also registered.
Yeah.
To some people that may not matter. Like our heifer is not going to be registered, mostly because we don't care. But also because she's half Angus.
Yeah.
But like that doesn't matter to us. We don't care if she's registered. But if you're going to be breeding full blood Jerseys, you might be interested in them being registered. I'm glad that she's registered.
If you're gonna show
Her
anything like
the
that.
calf we've AI'd her, the bull we've AI'd her with this year is registered. So we may seek out having her calf registered, so that if that's a market we want to get into with that calves later on, then we can. Granted that it's a heifer, we're praying for a heifer. But if not, we actually don't. It doesn't matter to us whether or not she has papers. But if it's something you're looking for, you may have to spend a little extra. So I don't know what you think. Is there anything you want to add?
I think one thing we haven't covered is the breed of cow. So we went with the Jersey because we knew we wanted something with high fat and on the smaller side body wise. So Butter worked out perfect for us with that. She is a large size Jersey. There's minis are really popular right now. She's definitely not a mini.
Not a mini.
Which we did not want anyway. But just for various reasons, people, you can get whatever you want. But they're also like, you've got your dual purpose Dexters.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how those price out.
A Jersey Cross, a Belfair.
Belfairs. Obviously there's Brown Swiss, Holstein, Ayrshire Milking Shorthorn, all those different
Guernsey,
things.
yeah.
So it's
You might want to milk a Highland, whatever. you wanna
whatever
do.
floats your boat.
Go milk a Angus, whatever you want to
you
do.
you boo boo. So I think it really just comes down to like,
Yeah.
what breed you want, what cows of that breed, how popular are they around there. A Holstein, I feel like is gonna not cost you quite as much because that's what most
That's pretty
commercial
standard,
dairies have, are gonna be Holsteins. So those you can get a bottle calf really cheap.
But you are going to sacrifice some stuff going with her Holstein.
Definitely gonna sacrifice
Your costs
some
are going to be
things.
higher.
Yeah.
Period. Across the board
Yeah,
higher.
across the board.
Your-
So it really it depends on what that market is around you. But we felt like for her that was pretty fair price. I feel good about what we spent. It was an auction, so like if we had not had someone bidding, it was just us and one other person that were bidding on her. There were like a bunch of cows and calves for sale that day.
Yeah.
So like if we had been the only one that bid, we would have gotten her a lot cheaper. But we weren't. It was us and some more people. So
Yep.
that drove it up a little bit, but it felt fair. I didn't
did,
feel like
yeah.
we were taken or anything like that.
And so what do you think? well, I guess I'll say what I feel like a good range
Yeah,
is, and
yeah.
then maybe you can get into the breakdown of her annual cost real quick so people have an idea. So I feel like a safe range, and I feel like this is why you're probably watching this video. I think a safe range would say anywhere between $2,500 on the low end and $4,000 on the upper end.
Yeah.
It may go higher right now because of beef prices, but you can definitely get something good quality in there. And like depending on someone's motivation to sell, you might get one really cheap, you know?
Yeah.
But because of beef prices right now, I wouldn't think that you're gonna find something that doesn't give you a ton of issues for less than $2,500. But that's just me. But it just like Abby was saying, depending on the breed and all that stuff, there's a lot of differences.
Yeah.
But if you want something good quality that's a safe investment, as safe as an investment can be, as a cow investment can be, I would say around $2,500 to $4,000.
Yeah.
You might be thinking like, man, that's a lot of money. Or you might be thinking, oh, that's not as bad as I thought. But just know that like once you have that animal, she has the potential to cost you so much money.
Yeah.
Please don't go out there with like, well, all I could save was $1,000. I'll just buy this rickety old staff aid.
You said she's gonna cost you so much money.
Yeah, like she is. Like our
Oh,
cow,
the cheap one. I see
like
what you're
even
saying.
our cow,
Yeah.
Abby's about to get into that breakdown. She costs us money. Don't get into it. It's like chickens. Don't buy chickens thinking you're gonna save money. Do not buy a cow thinking I'm gonna save money on milk. That's a separate video, and we do
Yeah.
save money on milk, and it actually is probably more.
Yeah.
And we
come
will
out-
eventually on meat.
We come out on the good side when it comes to how much she costs.
We're not
But
in the red. We're in the green or
black or whatever.
black
they call
or
it.
whatever
We're
it is
not
where you.
accountants.
Right, we're not.
We're
But we
stay-at-home
make
moms.
more. Yeah, we stay at home, so we don't know what we're doing. We save more than we spend. I'll say that. We are
Yeah.
saving money by having a cow, which it also depends on how much space do you have and all that stuff. But conversation for another day. Abby's gonna get into
Yeah.
our cost breakdown. Just remember, $2,500 to $4,000. It's kind of where you need to be.
Yeah. So, we have some annual costs kind of put together. So, depending on your cow, depending on how much grain, if she needs grain, if she can sustain her body condition, so how she looks in terms of thinness, fatness, where she is on that scale. If she can maintain a good, healthy body weight on grass, great, awesome, perfect, ideal situation. However, our cow definitely needs grain. She technically is still, I'd say, under the levels of, she could still be considered grass-fed.
Yeah.
For our sake, I do consider us, for our family, I'm like, oh, our grass-fed cow. Because she
Yeah.
is getting mostly grass, but she does get some grain every day when we milk. And that comes out to around $25 a week in grain cost. So about $100 a month in, we do grain, we do some alfalfa, sunflower seeds, beet pulp kind of blend. So it's not all corn, like
Yeah.
there's lots of other things. But in terms of everything that she gets fed, the total is about $25.
At 25 cents a pound, she probably does what 100 pounds a week. So 250
Yeah.
pound bags. We get it from a local feed mill. They mill it themselves. It's a dairy blend. That's
Yeah.
way, if you can find a local mill, that's going to be way cheaper than going to Tractor Supply. No hate on Tractor Supply. We use them for everything else.
We get our beet pulp, sunflower seeds from there, but
Yeah, but our mineral and our dairy feed we get.
I mean,
and
we're
our pig
saving
feed,
about $10 per 50-pound bag, I'd say.
which when you're buying like 8 a month, that's a lot.
Yeah.
That's $80
That makes
savings.
a big difference.
Yeah,
I mean, I think the feed's like $13.
$12.50.
$12.50
for a
per bag. That's wild. And especially if you can find someone like that out. This is kind of off topic, but the guy that mills the feed, that owns the grain mill or the feed mill, whatever you call it, he is like a hub of information. That's where people go to get. That's where we found out about our AI tech that
Yep.
we've used. That's where we found out about the pig processor we're planning on using
Yep.
for our American
Second
guinea
round.
hogs. Yeah, for our next round. I mean, he knows everybody. We have numbers for people with hay. Like, it's where we've
Vets.
gotten. And he is just a
They had
wealth
dairy
of knowledge.
for what, 33 years?
Yeah, he's helped us change up our feed, kind of ration. Like he's been very, very helpful. So definitely recommend if you have any. If we're a bit rural out here, but we're near Greenville, which is kind of like a really booming, big kind of city near here in South Carolina.
Yeah, upstate.
Yes, we're in the upstate, and so it's
God, I'm sorry. It's so hot.
pretty. I'm sorry. We're drowning a little
It's
bit.
probably like
It's
93
a sauna.
degrees.
It's literally like a sauna out here, and we're trying to. Look
We're
like
probably
not
so red
dying.
and sweaty.
Um,
Sorry, go ahead, Abby. I'm sorry.
That's okay. But so that's been a huge help for us. It's been knowing that guy and like getting our feed from him. So that helped a lot. But if you have to, you can go to Tractor Supply and get your feed there. Just know it'll be a little bit more and you'll have less options. But you can find just about everything. There may only be one brand of cow feed, but you can also get your calf starter and you can get your mineral and you can get whatever. So definitely not the worst thing ever. You can also order things to be shipped and things like that, which that increases cost. But we spend about $25 per week while she's in milk. When she's dry, she doesn't get fed anything. She has grass and that's it. So those few months, whenever she's dry, are that we got her when she was dry, and it was kind of nice. We had a bag of sweet feed and we gave her like a handful a day, and we were just in love. And
we're looking forward to
excited
drying her off.
for her to make us all this milk, and then we were like, oh no, she has to have grain. Anyway,
She's very skinny.
she was losing weight. So then so that's about $1,125 per year in feed. Obviously that's not counting the couple months that she's going to be dry and isn't going to require any feed.
Yeah,
Also
that's
doesn't
just feed.
require times that she may need more.
Yeah.
We also, so the calf that she gave us she's a heifer. She's, as Anna referred to it, a Jangus. So she's Jersey Angus cross. And right now she's getting nothing, which she's obviously still drinking milk. We're calf sharing at the moment. We're getting ready to wean her soon.
She's weaned, so she is separated half the day.
Yeah, she's only on her, I mean,
Maybe 12 hours.
maybe less than that.
Yeah, maybe less.
8 hours.
We're
She's
bring-
only
we were
with her
trying to
about
bring
8 hours.
Yeah, we're bringing her down to 8.
So, and she is very well fed.
She ain't wasting away.
She is not missing any meals. And she eats grass and she gets milk from her mom. We've given her some alfalfa pellets just for like training and stuff, just like a handful at a time.
But not regularly.
But not regular. She may lick some grain up off the ground that her mom drops.
And
but-
they do get loose mineral as well.
And they have loose mineral, which that's not as much of a regular cost, because when they first start getting loose mineral, they like scarf it down because they're like, oh my gosh, I can actually eat all this mineral instead of licking on a hard rock all day long trying to get it out of the blocks of mineral.
Yeah.
Which we used for a while, so I'm not bashing anybody. If that's what you got, use it. But then they start to kind of slow down and it helps. But mineral is more
It
expensive
should
than
last us a
feed.
while.
But it doesn't cost, it's not like a weekly or monthly cost.
Yeah.
At least for us with 2 cows. So right now our heifer isn't costing us anything.
Yeah.
At all.
And we're hoping that
Anything
even once
right
she
now.
calves in 2 years, well, a year and a half from now, she should calve, God willing. And when that happens, we're hoping that we don't have to give her much at all, except for enough feed to get up into the stanchion. Being that like half Angus, we're hoping that her body condition doesn't suffer, like she doesn't lose a lot of weight after calving.
Yeah.
Because that's the biggest concern with Jerseys, is they do tend to lose a lot of weight after they calve.
Yeah. So next we need to go into, we've got supplies and we've got vet related bills. So your supplies, I mean, if you want to just have a bucket and you just go out there with your little stainless steel or food grade bucket and you milk into it and you use some wash rags you already had at the house and some Dawn dish soap to clean up and then milk into that bucket, awesome. Go put it in an old
Mason jar or something.
mason jar or old
Milk jug.
whatever. You can do it cheaply. You really can.
You don't need all the bells and whistles.
But if you're going to get a milk machine, you've got to factor in that cost.
We use a cheap Amazon milk machine.
Yeah, we're
we're planning to buy another one.
One of them, and it works really well. I mean, our cow's got good teats.
It was
She
what?
likes the milk machine way better than us.
Yeah, it was what, $180?
Yeah, $180, and it works.
Yeah.
It works really well. And you'll have a lot of naysayers and people say that it'll mess their teats up. So far, we've had no issues. So you do you, and it's.
Try some stuff.
We are monitoring our cow closely, and if we felt like it was harming her in any way, we obviously wouldn't do it. But it's way better for us and way better for her, and we get her weight emptier. Anyways, that's a talk for another day. But
So that was $180, and we are hoping to buy another one soon.
but if you're gonna use like we have stainless steel milk totes. We do not live at the land where our cows are.
Yeah.
So our land is about 30 minutes roughly from each of our houses, so it's almost like a triangle. For us, so we needed milk totes, big stainless steel totes that would not spill in the car, and that we could easily either fit in a cooler or put ice packs in the tote with the milk in it. So we had to get those really. So we each got a bucket. We
And
got
big
our
half-gallon
tote.
jars is what we
We
use.
also bought a bunch of half-gallon mason jars.
Those were about $16 for a 6-pack. You can get them cheaper. Abby thrifted a lot.
Yeah.
But if you're gonna buy them brand new, you're looking at $16 for 6. So like $2.50
almost $3 per jar.
per jar.
Um,
2.5.
Which
I think.
you're gonna reuse them hopefully, unless you're
Give or take.
gonna drop them all like me. Don't use gallon
Don't
jars.
do gallons.
Gallon jars are so expensive.
You're like,
and
oh, the aesthetic. Let me do gallon. No, they're not
The-
gonna cool fast enough. They're too
No.
expensive.
the glass on them is so much thinner, and
Yep,
you just
they
blow
burst.
on them hard enough, and they will break. Like I've
Yeah.
broken plenty of half-gallon jars too, but I do not have a single gallon jar left because I'm just too clumsy for it. But anyways, so we also we bought like a lantern and headlamps for milking in the morning and at night when it's dark. So there's lots of little things that go in. You can make it,
Iodine dip,
yeah,
bleach.
Yeah.
Sorry, you can make it what?
I don't remember.
You can make it cheaper.
Yeah, you can.
What
can
was
do it real
what's the
cheaply.
cost breakdown? I think it was like $400 for supplies.
Yeah, I think we ended up spending about $400.
And then
on supplies.
another like $400 for the milkers because we're about to buy a second
Yeah.
one. So that's almost $400. So now we're $800 for that plus the almost
Yeah.
$1,200 for
So
feed.
it says here so far this year
2,000.
with
That mathing.
no.
The supplies like
Yeah.
$800. So let's say that's like $2,000. And then the only thing on top of that is going to be like your vet cost and
Yeah.
your cost to AI. So our AI tech is amazing. All together, and we even did like timed AI and everything.
Yeah.
It was around 170. If we have to do it again, it'll be another like 130 on top of that. But we were really happy with that because if you talk to any vets around you, they're going to be so much more expensive. And our vet actually gave us a very competitive price that we were happy with too. But the tech, we just really love her a lot, and she's become kind of a mentor to us. And so we have really not minded just
Yeah.
going with her. And it was also a better price.
Yeah.
Um,
And so you have your cost of AI. If you have a friend with a bull, sometimes you can do it free that way. A lot of times
cheap.
it can be cheaper, but then you have to think about, do I have a way to transport my cow away from the
And what
farm?
happens if she's injured?
Is that bull tested? Lots of different things.
What if
And
she's
there's
sick?
not a wrong or right way.
Yep.
We just did not want to have to deal with the bull. We didn't have to try to take her anywhere. And if we can't get her bred with 2 rounds of AI, we will use a bull. We have several friends with bulls, so we'll
Yeah.
do that if we need to. But so you have your AI cost. Obviously, you have to pay your tech. You have to pay for if
The
you're going to do, the semen straw. If you're going to do anything medicated, whatever, you're going to have to buy those things. Which we have a great relationship with our vet. We love her. She does an amazing job. So she, has seen our cow multiple times and allowed us to come and pick up some medications. And then the AI tech already had the cedar device for us to place. So then it just comes down to vet costs. So Butter, she's about to be 5, and she had ketosis after she calved. Ketosis, milk fever, those mastitis, they happen. They're somewhat common. Milk fever is especially common in Jerseys, just because they produce a lot compared to their body size, and especially once you get up to that 4 or 5 year old range, they're a lot more likely to get ketosis.
High producers.
And milk fever. But Butter was over conditioned when she came to us, so she was a little on the chunky side. And this was just on grass, so we couldn't really change that a whole lot. And it was already winter, so the grass was not even good grass. But she was still over conditioned when we got her.
Yep.
And so that can kind of impact the way their body metabolizes fat and starches, and can put them at a high risk of ketosis. And we did experience a really rough bout of ketosis,
Which made her get thin.
she lost a lot of weight. Her appetite was down.
Her milk tasted like a
her-
tire.
It was,
We couldn't drink the milk.
yeah. A lot of our family members and friends, everyone said the milk was great. But me and Anna, apparently some people can genetically taste and smell ketosis
couldn't
more
do
than
it.
others, and we could not stomach the milk. It was.
I couldn't even smell it.
It-
It smelled like spaghetti sauce.
It smelled and tasted like when you first open a ketchup bottle, like that.
In a bad way.
In not a good way at all. Like not even. It's not even like where a cow's had onion, and you're like, well, we'll just make some garlic,
No.
cheese, butter with this, whatever.
It got worse
It
when you
was-
made butter or
It
some
was
yogurt or
terrible.
anything.
Or cheese. It just
Well, no, yogurt did good.
concentrated it.
Yogurt was
Yeah,
fine
yogurt
with the
was good.
ketosis milk.
But that ketosis was hard, and it took us several weeks to get her through that, and she lost a lot of weight in that time, and we've been slowly having to build it
Yeah.
back up. Because
And, yeah.
it's actually, we did not know many people that their cows had that, and so, our vet hadn't seen a whole lot. She definitely knew what she was doing and stuff,
Whoa.
but it was also subclinical, so she wasn't down.
And
A
our
lot
vet
of
didn't want to
ketosis
treat
will be
her
down.
being subclinical.
Yeah.
The biggest symptom
It
was just
wasn't
her
worth
milk.
giving her IV dextrose when she wasn't down yet. She was still
Propylene
eating.
glycol. So we will make a separate video later on how we
How we
treated
treated
that at home.
So that
You might be interested to hear that, but that'll be a separate video. But vet costs, what do you think we paid? She also did have a round of mastitis, which cost us only $40 for the antibiotics.
That was from her calf.
That wasn't
Her
really.
calf tore her teat up and it got infected.
Yeah.
But it really was not. It wasn't a severe mastitis. It really wasn't. It
And
was
we did
actually
also
bad.
have to pay separately for a shot of Factrol when we AI'd. So that was $20, $40 for mastitis. And then the vet call that time was like, what, $150 or something?
Yeah, 190
When
I
she had
think,
ketosis.
something.
So let's say $250 was our vet cost. And that's why we're saying it's important to look for a cow that's in good shape and that doesn't have a lot of issues, because that could have easily been $2,000 in a year, and you do not want to be spending that. You would much rather spend. Our feelings are not hurt that we spent $250.
Yeah.
And now we have a lot more skills, so we don't feel like it'll even be that much more in the future. So far we've only spent $1,290 annually. We're looking at probably closer to $2,000, maybe $2,500. Let's say $2,000, $2,500 with the current vet costs that we've had. If we don't have any more vet costs, at the end of the year we'll probably break at around $2,000 ish.
Yeah.
But
for
so
feed,
far,
vet bills, AI, all
so
those things.
again, you might be thinking, man, if I have to spend $4,000 for a cow and $2,000 for vet costs, I'm at $6,000. That might be like a deal breaker for you. You might be like, I can't do that. But if you already buy raw milk and you happen to have enough acreage somewhere to do it, you might be like, dang, I'm paying $10, a gallon for raw milk, and I buy 3 gallons a week. I'm spending $30 a week on milk. And once you start doing the breakdown on all the other dairy you buy, you might be like, man, as long as I had a cow that was gonna metabolize well on grass, I might actually save money. And that's kind of where we are. So if you stay tuned and you go to the next video, we're hoping to also sometime soon film a video on how much we save and all the products that we make with her milk and just how much that saves us. And we're not even gonna take into account the pigs. We've already slaughtered 1. We have 4 more we're gonna slaughter that are gonna be free, essentially. Maybe a little bit on feed cost, but that has been that has also been relieved. But anyways,
one thing we didn't mention is hay. If you're gonna have to buy hay, we've bought 2 round bales just to save up for the winter, and we gave her 1 round bale when she was in ketosis, just to give her another food source. She hasn't even eaten it. It's literally just the goats have eaten it and it's fallen apart into a big blob. So if you're in a small area or you don't have good grass or you're working on building up your pasture, you're gonna have to buy hay, and that's gonna be additional cost. But for us, she's on 5 acres and hasn't needed hay. And we're hoping that she'll be dry in the winter, and so we're hoping the pasture will sustain her through the winter as well. But we have hay stocked up just in case.
Ooh, well,
we're gonna go inside and stop sweating to death, and I hope this video has been helpful. Let us know in the comments, if you have a cow, what you paid for or what you think is fair. And
does that sound ridiculous?
If you have any questions, definitely let us know. We are being super upfront and obvious.
Transparent.
We're being very upfront and transparent with you on the prices of things, so that you can know when you go to get yourself a cow. You can know what to expect. We don't want to deter anyone away from getting a cow. We think it's amazing, and we would not recommend anything in the world. But we want you to go into it realistic, and we don't want you to be caught off guard or not have what you needed saved up to do it. So until next time, deuces.
See you later.
I'm dying.
God.
Oh gracious.